So I had a little idea. Could you make a good bottle of wine just off the South Circular in Lewisham SE12? Could I get a small plot of land, maybe to grow vines, and something like an allotment? And I thought, well, I'll give it a go. What's the worst that could happen? But what type of grapes to grow? The thing is if you know wine, you might think of Chardonnay, of Pinot Grigio, and all these things. But these are not ideal to grow in a simple allotment. So I looked into it, and actually there is some vines that are cross-species hybrids, and they are resistant to rot. They have grape resistant to rot. And I found 3 of them. So one was called Orion, which nice and fruity and aromatic, a white. One was Phoenix, another white, again, like a Sauvignon Blanc. And then a red wine from England. Ugh. So I'd chosen my varietals purely because they are resistant to funguses and rots. So I wouldn't need to spray. The other allotmenteers probably wouldn't like that either. So I researched Vineyard Design, and I worked out the best way to use my plots. 2 lines of Phoenix, 1 of Orion and 1 of Regent. The interesting thing about viticulture is that you can't do you want to do the thing you're doing now, but you have to think about the thing you're doing next week, next month, next year. Where are the grapes going to grow? How are you going to get the grapes? And as they grow, you have to monitor them. I'm looking at the sugars of the grapes and the acids of the grape. You get a little refractometer thing, you get a selection of grapes, put a little drop on, and you look through it and it tells you the sugar content of your grapes. So you can monitor them as they slowly get more and more into harvest time. So once you're into this production, you move into a different process called pruning over the winter. And this is where some gardeners get a bit anxious, because you strip virtually the entire plant, and you just leave one cane, and then 2 little spurs. So at harvest, I want to make great wine. But I'm a scientist, so I wanted to experiment. What kind of yeast am I going to use? What's the right yeast? What's the good yeast? So I took different strains of yeast, which again, all on the internet, all from homebrew stockists. It makes for an interesting experiment, because when it comes to drinking your wine, I make a note of what I'd done for that bottle. So next year, you learn. Next year, oh, that yeast, actually, that wine was really good with that yeast. I think we'll concentrate a bit more on that. So not enough sugars, and you'll have a 7% alcohol wine. Not enough acid, and it'll be flabby. So it's a gentle balance. But in 10 days' time, you've got wine. It only takes 10 days. And then possibly end of November, beginning December, I then bottle the wine. Cork it, and then I label it. For the whole little vineyard, so 7 meters by 13, 1 year I had a total of 120 bottles, which is probably a bit too many. I try to keep it now to about 60 or 70, because if you let them overcrop, you reduce the quality.